Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Woodward Heavyweight live on woodwardsports.com. Make sure you like and share the stream. If you're listening on an audio platform, leave us a 5-star review and go check out woodwardsports.com, man. They got all the best things, live shows. They got the articles, a lot written by my guy, Matt Broder, because he was just down at Lions rookie minicamp. And we heard, over the weekend, Sam Laporta showing out.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a lot of different things, making a lot of great things. Before we get to your thoughts, we do have a video of Sam Laporta. Play the full video this time, Chris, and what it meant going up against Jack Campbell.
You're just going against your buddy. You're competing, and that's what we all love. We love football, and it's so fun to do it against Jack. I don't even know. That's authentic, I don't even. It's not like it was a celebration. I was just like, holy shit. I was like, I got you.
And also, we actually have some exclusive video of Sam Laporta. This is kind of like some heavy stuff, but it's really shows you his background and his heritage.
It's a me, Mario.
So there's that as well. But so Sam Laporta was the big talk over the weekend, and you just came back fresh out of Allen Park. What happened today? Who was stealing the show? What was the team looking like? How are the rookies feeling?
Yeah, so the reports are correct. I mean, Sam Laporta was one of those that stood out really all day when I was there Saturday. And what he was talking about, they did an Oklahoma-type one-on-one drill where Laporta and Campbell ended up matching up against each other. It was really cool. Laporta ended up, juking out Jack Campbell, who had been pretty dominant on the day, and gave him a little chuckle. He gave him a little competitive, jab. It was cool, but Campbell and Laporta were really the ones that stood out to me. And take everything with a grain of salt. This is rookie minicamp. They're not in full pads, so everyone's going, 85%. But there are rookies. They're all still trying to make the team. So you got some guys really pushing themselves in drills, some guys not. It's hard to really pick that apart. But Laporta and Campbell were definitely two that just looked different than the others.
Yeah, and that's we obviously want to hear Jahmyr Gibbs in that conversation, but we're gonna get to that later. But I love hearing this about Sam Laporta. I love hearing that he's out there, he's making moves, he's making things happen, because that's what you brought him in here. You brought him in here to be the next George Kittle, the next guy that is gonna be at the tight end position, a playmaker, get the ball in his hands, and when he has the ball in his hands, be dangerous in open field, make people miss, which he did at Iowa. Unfortunately, he was at Iowa, and we know they didn't have the best offense or the best quarterback situation. But if you bring in a guy like that, you expect him to start week one. Like, this guy is already the best tight end on your roster. He's a smart dude, so we hope he's going to have, the playbook down and everything ready to go, because Ben Johnson runs a pretty complex offense. But I'm excited to see what he gets out there. What do you think, Lucas, that he brings to this offense and what he can do in his first year?
I mean, I think when you talk about Sam Laporta, he's the classic 2023 tight end. And what I was kind of timid on it at first, because I was bought into the hype about Michael Mayer. But when you truly break it down and you break down the prospect that Sam Laporta is and the prospect that Michael Mayer is, because that's who everybody's like, oh, we should have took Michael Mayer over Sam Laporta. And I truly could not be more past the Michael Mayer train right now, just because what does he do that brings this Lions offense to the next level? And really nothing. He does that Brock Wright possession catch, but after he gets the ball in his hand, he's nothing special. And what the Lions need is playmakers around Jared Goff, people who can extend Jared Goff's passing ability, because he can throw a 5-yard out and out to 15-yard run and catch. And that's exactly what Sam Laporta does. I think he steps in day one, and I think when you truly break it down where he fits is especially with when Jamo's out, we're going to see a lot of them right away too. And I think with Ben Johnson, it's a perfect combo.
Yeah, and another guy Lions fans should expect to step in day one and be the best player of their position group, Lions fans, is Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta's teammate, the linebacker the Lions drafted in the first round. Broder, what has he shown you so far at rookie minicamp? And we know they call him Captain Jack, he's the leader, he's doing stuff like that, but when you walk into a locker room full of veterans or guys that have been there before, it's kind of tough to force your way into that leadership role. But other than that, what have you seen out of him?
It's interesting you say that, because he doesn't seem like a guy that is seeking out that from his team, but immediately from the second he stepped on the field on Saturday, the team just gravitated around him. After every play, he was the one calling the huddle on defense. He was the vocal one sort of navigating their defense, which is made up of all rookies, all young guys trying out for the team. It's a mix where as your team develops, you need that person to step up. And we all thought that was going to be Jack Campbell, but he just proved it on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's the difference with these two guys and our other top third of the 3 draft picks in Jahmyr Gibbs. Is Jahmyr Gibbs has that guy he can kind of lean on in David Montgomery, who is expected to be just as productive, expected to be a great fit in this offense, where you're expecting Jack Campbell and Sam Laporta to step in day one and be the best player in their position group. And Neil Rule's worst nightmare, 2 Hawkeyes are trying to go out there and make things happen. But I expect both of these guys to be difference makers.
Yeah, I think they're both going to pay off. And like we said, the Lions, I should say, they have Jack Campbell. Then you have Brian Branch, who you could argue could easily, if he plays up to the hype that was kind of surrounding him before the draft, before the combine, he could easily be another day 1 starter if he shows up in camp. Then you add on I'm having a brain fart.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, the Lions have 4 guys, and with Laporta that we were just talking about, they have 4 guys that can contribute right away. And I don't see any other draft class around the league that can do that.
Yeah, and that's what they're hoping for. Has there been anybody else that, outside of the top names, that has stood out to you so far at rookie minicamp?
He didn't really do anything in the practice that stood out to me, but Colby Sorsdahl out of William and Mary,
big bro,
got a chance
little bro.
Yeah, I mean, you got some striking resemblance there.
That's my guy.
What an awesome guy. We got a chance to talk to him after the practice, and he says everything you want him to say, but what really stood out is his experience really shined through in the interview. And when you see him next to these other rookies, he looks bigger than all the rookies. He looks like he fits in, and he really does fit in kind of perfectly into this offensive line. The Lions had him listed at guard, and he played tackle. I believe it was right tackle in college. So it's already seeming like they're going to bank on him to kind of fill a versatile role on the offense, whether it's maybe starting backing up Graham Glasgow, but he might be a guy you plug and play in different positions all season.
And that was a sneaky pick by Brad Holmes. That was a guy who's been a 4-year starter. He's a consensus All-American. Their offensive line was one of the best in football when it came to run blocking and pass blocking. He was that piece that was there for so long, so talented, and they got him at a good place, and they need it because next year they don't have a guard on their roster right now, other than Skipper or Stenberg, or whoever you want to throw in there. But
Danny.
Jonah Jackson's his contract is up.
And that's
Halapulu Vaitai, his contract is up. Graham Glasgow only signed a 1-year deal, so this is a guy that could fill in maybe right away when you're looking, not this year, but we know the injuries, he might have to get some spot starts, but he could be an important role going forward.
And especially when you talk about like the guard position, I don't know, when I look at it, I think of like linebackers, guards, running backs. I feel like those are positions that teams usually move off of pretty frequently, and they're not getting paid very high money. So when you do have a guy like Colby who can play multiple positions and he's young, and the perfect timing, like you just said, because I think we're going to bring back a lot of guys, but I don't think Jonah Jackson's going to be one of them, in my opinion.
He's going to command a pretty good contract wherever he goes.
Yeah, and as he should, because he's a young guard that's proven he's already been to a Pro Bowl, so he's going to command that money. He has that on his resume. Yeah.
And sticking with the heavyweights, because, this is the heavyweights. Broderick Martin, man.
Thank you.
A lot was made about him. This is the guy they brought in. A lot of people, myself included, going into this draft, thought that defensive tackle was the biggest need for the Detroit Lions. They waited to address it until they got Broderick Martin, and they liked this guy a lot because they traded 3 picks to move up and get him. Other than him being just a mountain of a man, what have you seen from him? How is he kind of fitting in with this team, and what is he going to bring to the Lions?
He gets it. Like, he knows what he needs to do to get to the next level. He knows the investment that the Lions made to trade 3 picks to go up and get him. It almost even felt like he thought he should have been drafted a little higher.
Okay.
And a smaller theme of the day was a lot of these draft picks have a little chip on their shoulder from being ranked lower than they thought they should, or being drafted lower, even dating back to Amon-Ra St. Brown. A lot of these rookies feel that way, but Broderick Martin is a beast of a man. He's got an awesome personality. He's a funny guy. I think he just fits that mold of ball players that Dan Campbell, that Aaron Glenn want on their team, on their defense. He's one that that we'll probably see an impact from sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and he very well could be starting when you look at it. I mean, I love what Isaiah Buggs did for the team last year, but in his best role, in his best position on the team, Isaiah Buggs is a depth guy, and Broderick Martin is just a giant fucking human being. Like,
and he's mobile too.
He's mobile too.
He was a power forward recruit coming out of high school too. So like he has a lot of bursts coming off the line, and that's what Isaiah Buggs lacks. And when you have Martin, who has that size, because I think McNeil's already locked down his spot as far as at least this season as the starter. I don't think there's any debate with that.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
If his athletic ability is able to slow down the game and he can actually get these one-on-one matchups with the centers and the guards, he could easily dominate them.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want him to get one-on-one matchups. Like,
Well, I know,
want him to eat a couple
but
of
like
dudes
coming,
in
like
the middle.
if he's starting and you have a Liam and Martin, you're gonna at least initially you're double teaming
You're
a
double
Liam,
teaming
and then
Liam,
you
yeah.
have Aiden Hutchinson off the edge and James Houston off the edge. So that's just like he's gonna have a lot of times where he's not double teamed.
Yeah.
That's where that speed's gonna come in handy.
And I like hearing what you said about like the chip on the shoulder, because you have heard that before. Obviously, you got your top guys who are going to have a chip on their shoulder because everybody's talking shit about them. Oh, why'd they take Gibbs? Nobody needs him. Why'd they take Campbell? He would have been there in the second round. And then you have guys like you said, like Broderick Martin, who thought he should have gone sooner. Muhammad Ibrahim wasn't even drafted. He had a pretty day. Like, I saw that shit up close and personal. He ran all over MSU. So is this, you think that was a theme for the guys? They talk about, grit and the football hunger and all that shit, and you're seeing that with this class.
I think so. I think it's something that these players were targeted for that specific reason, on top of their athletic skills and what they do on a football field. I definitely think they targeted them. And on the topic of Mo, Ibrahim, I learned how his name is pronounced. I've been calling him Ibrahim too.
Sorry, Mo.
Ibrahim. He could be him.
Okay.
No, what I did notice about him, he got a lot of work in this practice, just with Jahmyr Gibbs out on Saturday, and he looked faster than I expected.
Yeah.
Like they got him in a lot of different places on the offense, which I think fits a lot of what they've got these weapons, or they got these players that can be used in multiple spots. He was one who had his hand on the ball a lot.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Multiple weapons. And unfortunately, the reason he might have had his hand on the ball a lot was because Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't there for a lot of the rookie minicamp.